Hey, there's a patent from Nikola Tesla that I think maybe you're talking about, and it's like one of the simplest things he ever come up with, and it's a metal plate, and you said you had to put insulation on it. So these days you'd get like a bunch of really thick plexiglass. He said the better the insulation, the better this works. So he puts this big metal plate up high on a mast, somewhere up high like on your roof or whatever, and it's got to be completely insulated with thick, good insulation. So right, like you'd get a bunch of like inch thick plexiglass. Sometimes you go to like their metal shop over in Spokane somewhere, where these things are so crazy they'll break and all this stuff, and so you can get it really cheap because it's all just pieces that are irregular or whatever. Then you put that around a plate and you run high voltage cable out of it. You seen this stuff? It's like silicone cable. You can buy it on eBay. Type into eBay like 40 kV cable or whatnot, and it's a really thick wire, but it's all insulation because it's meant for 40,000 volts. It's got to be all insulation. So thin little conductor and this whole bunch of silicone. You run that down, and Tesla's patent shows that you put this into a high voltage capacitor. Again, you get that on eBay. It's pretty cheap. You can get 20 or 30 kilovolts. This insulated plate, from which electrons, evident by our laws, they can't enter or leave. It's insulated. But it's up on a mast somewhere, exposed to these cosmic rays. Something is happening, and that capacitor charges. Tesla had basically a vane switch across that capacitor, where the capacitor charges to some tens of kilovolts, and it causes the electrodes in this switch to attract, close the switch through a load in series with it. So call it a transformer primary. So you're going to get pulses of electricity. Like Eric, I can't tell you what to expect, but if Tesla patented it, there's probably good reason for why he patented it. It must be something. I've never built it, but if you want to build it, come back next year and tell me what it does.
I can give you some more details. Okay, now the important thing is you have to use a mica capacitor, but in Tesla's time. But I think some of the modern ceramic capacitors will work just as well. They don't have any leakage. One terminal has to be earthed. The other one is connected to the elevated electrode. It's very important that there be no surface barrier of any kind on the elevated electrode. It has to be highly polished, preferably amalgamated. That's a critical part of receiving these cosmic rays. Now, what Tesla did is when the capacitor became charged, it was discharged into a Tesla form of resonant transformer, which took the charge, converted it into magnetism, and then threw it back into the capacitor. One thing that's not realized about Tesla's technology is that it's mostly power-based and it's not energy-based, and all the energy is returned at the end of the cycle. And that's what Tesla was after with that technology. I've done some experiments in that, and once you get all the resonance right, where the capacitors on the load side of the transformer and the capacitor that's picking up the cosmic rays are synchronously dumping their energy into each other, you can get it to resonate, and you can actually get some significant voltages, steady significant voltages out of it, but it takes some pretty good skill in dealing with electrical switching and insulation and other things to do that. But it's fundamentally simple to do, and the patent's pretty much illustrated, and Tesla describes, scattered throughout, if you read everything. I would suggest, if you really want to understand Tesla's ideas on things, is you get that book that came out of his homeland in 1956. I think it's called The Notes, Lectures, and Patents of Nikola Tesla. And cryptically and in a very distributed way, everything you need to know about this stuff is all pretty much weaved through there. One complication with Tesla is he starts to contradict himself later in life, and he seems more interested in fooling with people's minds and playing games with them in some kind of revenge for getting screwed in the rear end earlier, which is very understandable. But it's best to go back to his original patents and the lectures and what few notes there are that he took. The Colorado Springs notes also has some of this stuff in it, but it's very scant, and it's good to have a solid background in electrical engineering and technology to know all the little details. But I really encourage people to experiment with it, and on my I don't know what you call it. I call it a channel on energetic form. I've come up with a number of experiments to try to tap that cosmic ray using phototubes and prior charging of the surfaces and all that. And no one's really taken it very far. The introduction of the process was to create an all-electric, non-electronic Geiger counter based on Tesla's principles, where each impulse of radiation that was received would ring a telephone bell. And somebody actually duplicated this, and I'm encouraging it to be made as kind of an educational product to help people understand the principles of tapping the Tesla cosmic ray. But unfortunately, none of my stuff seems to go anywhere. Out of all the entire population of the planet, there's only 2 people working on this, and they have to stave off an army of detractors and people that are trying to steal the ideas for nefarious purposes. So that's why I basically dropped out of that area. I pretty much dropped out of everything. So I'm more interested in digging utility pole holes and stringing wire and building stuff, which was my initial aim, and not in getting involved in a lot of theory. But at any rate, I think, as somebody was pointing out here, I think it was Jim Murray, is the theory end of it can become addicting, and then all of a sudden you're trapped. And in 12-year blocks, you figure out one thing or another until all of a sudden you find out your hair is gray and you have less teeth.
Next question.